Hello world, I got another request from the same guy about this wheel. This guy is asking me to take a look on a wheel he's modeling for he's doing Lycan hypercar, which I did fix the body parts on the previous episodes, and he asked me to take a look on the wheel. He said he's stuck with it and he's asking for a little help. How I would solve it, probably. From first look, again, it's look okay, I think. Let's multiply it and make it looks like a wheel. When I'm duplicating it, I press Shift D, and I don't think you can see the mouse movements, but you see I checked the linked box, a little linked box here, in order to make them, how to say, so they have history of each other, kinda like history. So when I'm editing it, it's all affected. All other parts are affected. Maybe some people doesn't know about it yet. One last piece. The reference, because you always have to look at the reference when you're doing something like that. Okay, maybe let's try it. Make same material as in a reference. Let's create new material and let's make it metallic and maybe color it gray. Now it's close to original, dark gray, and we already see what's wrong with it. Apparently middle part is moved on the original. It's moved to the car. It's slightly deeper. It's easy to fix in this stage of modeling. Let's move it to look closer to original. It looks slightly like this. Yes. Fix a little part here. Let's move back a little bit. Let's move it back. Okay. It needs some moving on the upper edges. Like this. Okay. Now it looks fine. I mean, it's not perfect, but it is relatively okay looking thing. And the guy, he apparently wants to make it to be able to apply subdivision surface. Apparently he wants to make it look nice and close to original, as close as possible to original. We applied subdivision surface modifier, and let's try to see where it gives us an issues. There are some weird stretching, mostly because it doesn't match here. It has to be fixed, I think. Let's turn off temporarily the subdivision surface modifier. There is some weird set of polygons here. I really don't understand why they are here. Let's delete them. Guy again apparently, he didn't use the beveling. He tried to use the loop cut, and again it's too thin, or maybe there is a sharp edges here. No, they are not that sharp on the side of the wheel. Fix it. Let's put snapping to the point, to the vertex. Oh, it's mirrored, so it's not gonna work. Well, let's just try to get it as close as possible to each other. Later, when we do merge vertices, it should work if vertices are close enough to each other. Yeah, you have to do it all the way to the side, because later on, if their position doesn't match, it could get some issues. It could give you some issues. Okay. And when you model things like that, you always have to ask yourself, will they be visible, these details? Is there a point to model it like this, with this kind of detalization, with extreme close-ups? If from far away the 3D model looks good enough, and if there are not going to be any close-ups, like renders, close-ups, renders, you don't have to spend too much time on it. It's just gonna be waste of time. If you're gonna later try to render with a high resolution things like this, close-ups like this, then of course your 3D model has to look as good as possible. Okay, here we gotta fix positioning too. Why I cannot select it properly? Again, this kind of work is tedious. And again, as I told on the previous episodes, probably just have to get through this. I remember when I was learning at the time, so many years ago, without any internet, without YouTube, all you can find on internet some, just pictures and text, no video. And I remember I was trying to figure out how to put blueprints on a rhinoceros in order to 3D model the existing car. And I spent around 2 weeks just trying to figure out how to put blueprints in that program. It wasn't fun. It's good if you have someone who can tell you, someone who advise you. But if you don't have no one, it could be really challenging. Again, layout in this file is somewhat different, slightly. If I select points, the previous points are stayed selected too. It's not how I used to work. Probably I have to reset the preferences on the Blender to the default. This is weird. Okay. This is... Oh, come on. You see what I mean? When I select something, previously selected points stay selected. Yes, the layout is changed on this. Come on. Preferences changed, not layout. Layout, it's probably different. Yeah, it's different word. Come on, which point? Why it stays selected? Probably I gotta do it now. Let's go to the preferences and load factory preferences. Yeah, coloring going to change, but at least it's everything gonna be the way I used to. I hope. Yeah, colors did change to the factory settings. It's always yellow and orange. Huh. Okay, I hope we're almost done. Come on, why stay selected? I load factory settings and it didn't help at all. This is weird. Even center point doesn't match. That is weird. Okay. I did screw up a little bit things. Okay. For some reason this is not rounded. I hope you can see it. Yes. You see? This is weird too. Well, in order to fix it, we can select the faces and press S, that means scale, in order to see it. S, and we have to press put 0 on the axle in order to scale it. Let me show you what I mean. Basically, I'm doing this. I'm scaling it, but I'm scaling it to the 0. Let me show what I mean. We selected those. Press S. X. Axle. You see, it's turned red. And press 0. Oh, because I loaded the factory settings, a screencast stopped working. Probably I have to return it. Give me... Okay, how to do it, I have to find it first. I forgot where I put it. Where did I put it? Okay. I have to figure out how to organize my navigation, because I got so many. Oh, okay, I found it. Okay, and how to run the script. Now we have it, I think. Yes. Huh. It doesn't work for some reason. This is weird. Maybe I shouldn't have done it. Now I cannot turn on screencast. It doesn't work. Well, I'll figure it out how to fix it later. Because right now I'm focusing on a wheel. On the wheel. I'm going to try to explain it, and by saying which button I'm pushing. You selecting the faces, you need flattened. Basically, it's flattening it. On the axle, you choose before. Press S means scaled. Press the button which represent the axle. There is X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z, and in this particular occasion, it's X axle, and type 0, and that's it. It's just scaled it and enter. Press enter. It's scaled it to the 0. It means it's flattened it completely. So right now it's completely flat, and it should be straight now. It's just there is an issue because other lines not flattened. Well, we temporarily just can delete them, dissolve them. Why there are two of them? Okay, and Let's rebuild it, basically. Now it is, but now there is a problem with second here. I'm going to show you just right here. It's not flat too, it's not rounded. Okay, with a similar method, just make it flat, and maybe before that you just delete these edges temporarily, because later it's easier to rebuild them. Dissolve these edges, and so a similar method. S X axle 0, enter. And again we have problems with these edges. Select them all and dissolve them. Select them all and dissolve them. And now it's left just to rebuild it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now it is flat. But there is a problem with the fuel cap. Same problem. It's not straight. You can see it here. It's going from like being on the one level with the wheel and going down, sliding kind of down. That's why it's not uniform and look weird slightly. In similar manner, select them, press S, press X, type 0 and enter. You flatten it, maybe a little bit too much, because the point of the cap was always slightly out, but you can always move it later. It's not difficult. And again, the inner edges, they are not uniform. We can flatten it same way. That's what I do, what I mean. You see, if you scale it all the down to the 0, it's basically kind of how to say it? Those edges there become like in line, in one line, within one projection. I don't know how to say it correctly. I apologize for my English. It's not my native language. I'm trying to improve it. But right now it doesn't scale to the 0 because I did it manually. In order to scale it to the 0, you press S, choose the axle X, type 0, enter. Now these two edges, they're absolutely parallel to each other, and it should look okay. Well, we'll fix those stuff. Now let's take a look again to the reference. And try to see. It's not completely rounded to. Well, we can. Because this subject is very cylindrical, where the text W motor, you can even temporarily separate it into a different object. You're gonna see what I mean. There's so many very tiny polygons, it's slightly difficult to select. Press P and separate it by selection. Yeah, it disappear all other parts. But now what we should do, we going to apply all modifiers. The mirror modifier and subdivision, we don't really need it. You can just delete it. Okay, now there's a much simpler way to do it, actually. I'm going to show you both way. One is a lengthy way, just duplicate it, rotate it 72 degree, duplicate it again, rotate it 72 degree, another duplication, rotate it to 72 degree, and the last one also has to be rotated 72 degree. Now we can join them together into one object by selecting them, all of them, and pressing Ctrl and G. Now it's a one object. See, when you're selecting it, it's just, if we're selecting other just beams of the wheel, they are selecting separately. If we select this one, it's one same object, but even though it's the same object, its components are not union yet, not united yet, because we have a border here. These vertices, they are not merged between each other, and in order to straighten this element, to make it rounded, look rounded and correct, you need these vertices, you need them to be merged. You shouldn't have this seam as a two separated geometries. Okay, in order to merge them, again, as I did in the previous episodes, you just select all by pressing A. Select all vertices, go to the vertex, merge vertices by distance, and it's merging vertices. You see there was a, just let me get back. I press Ctrl Z and now they are separated again. Yes, press A to select them all, go to the vertex, merge vertices by distance, and you see there is information removed 35 vertices. That means all the vertices which were close to each other and forming the seam, they are merged into one vertex, and now it's one geometry, one piece of geometry without any seams and without issues, but it's not completely rounded. It's maybe, yeah, from far away it's really not that visible, but I can see it from here. Of course, if they're gonna be used subdivision face modifier, it's become not visible at all, I think. But I'm always trying to keep the geometry very optimized, very how to say, so it's not taking much resources from the computer memory, and it doesn't take much computer power to calculate it. So now we have this one object, and in order to make it rounded, by the way, lower part is close to the rounded object. Select these edges, all of them, press Shift Alt S and slide to the side the mouse. Now this edge much closer to the rounded object. We cannot see it yet because it's how to explain it. We have to do it to the same to the other edge loops too. Let's select it all by clicking Shift Alt and select edge. All this loop is selected. Again, Shift Alt S and moving mouse to the side. Yeah. Then this last one here is gonna be visible, I hope. Shift Alt S and move to the side. It's much closer to the ideal cylinder. Now here we gotta do the same thing. Shift Alt S, and that's it. Shift Alt S, move to the side. Okay. Yeah. These functions helps create. Maybe I just do a quick example on it because it's not much understandable from what I do. Just give me a second. For example, we have a mesh circle. Let's make it less polygons. Okay, now it's ideally rounded. For example, you have geometry like this. It's all kind of messed up and really, you see, look, this geometry is completely messed up. right? Now, if you want to make this geometry to look rounded, ideally rounded, you have to have preferably same distance between the points, between vertices. But even without it, if you just press Shift Alt S and move it to the side, yeah, it's getting close to the round, but because it's not on the same level, it's only look rounded from here. Well, relatively rounded. If we want to get it as close as possible, we can do the same thing as with the scaling. This time we have to scale it on the z-axis. Yeah. And for that you press S, Z, type 0 and enter. We flattened it, and now if we press Shift Alt S, it's getting close to the circle, but because there is no same distance between points, it's gonna have these weird places, weird areas where geometry doesn't look rounded. If on a geometry there is approximately same distance between points, looks like that, for example. Even though okay, and it's approximately same distance, but look, it's a little bit like this. It doesn't look rounded at all, but it's on the same projection, how to say it, on the same plane. Just select all the points, press Shift Alt S, move down the side. Look, it's getting close to ideally rounded object. Of course, because the distance between points not similar, it cannot be ideally rounded. You can try to fix it. I never tried it. Let's see what happened. You can use this thing, smooth vertices. By smoothing it, it's kind of equalizing the distance between points, you see? But it's changing geometry slightly, so be careful with that. This is very much close to the ideal. Even with this, look, if you press Shift Alt S and move it, it's slightly moving. It's trying to get to the closest possible way to the ideally rounded object. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Maybe later I will do a quick tip tutorial about it. That's the way we fixed this area, but again, there is a much simpler way to do it, and there is a way to control it, control detalization. Yeah, it's gonna be created with a separated objects, but it's optimized way. Let me show you the way, what I'm trying to say. Select this edges, duplicate them, and press P to separate it. Now these edges are separated object. Now if we use screw modifier, and it's already a right axle selected. Look, yeah, there is not enough polygons, but it's easy to fix. It's right here. Just adding steps. 36 will be enough. We can recreate this geometry, and it's ideally rounded with a perfectly same distance between vertices. So this is much closer to perfect way to fix it, and much faster way than I showed before. But you have to it really depends on what kind of geometry you're doing. For example, this middle part, this the screw, the what's, I don't know how they call it, the thing, the detail which keeps the wheel from falling off with let's say I don't know the English word for it, unfortunately. This object you cannot model it with a screw modifier. It's gonna need a different approach. So okay, let's get rid of this one and move it here. Okay, well, let's go to the other areas. Here in the beam of the rim, if you turn on the subdivision surface modifier, you're gonna notice some issues. Right here there is something weird going on. Basically from far away it's okay, at least, well, it's looked better because the cavity turned on. If we turn it off, it's gonna be more visible the places which have issues. For example, like this, some weird stretching going on right here. Okay, the way to fix it, we have to add cuts in the strategic areas, manually add cuts. Everything is too thin, the polygons are way too small. This is making it difficult. It's slightly better, not that much though. Okay. Well, personally, I prefer turn off the subdivision surface modifier and make a shade flat, and then edit the geometry. Because, well, personally to me, it's just more comfortable, and I can see clearly the edges and areas. And again, because I model a lot, I know approximately how the faces should flow, how the edges should flow on the geometry, in order to get relatively good results. And not all polygons has to be four-sided. You can leave five-sided polygons or triangles at the areas which not that visible or not that important, maybe on somewhere on the back where it's not going to be visible on the render. Is it good or not? So you have to also consider like the what's the word again? I completely forgot. Deadlines, because you have to finish it in time if you doing something for a client, and they don't like delays, and you have to manage your time very well. That's what I'm trying to say, because time is always limited. Time is the money, as they say it. Okay, now let's turn it on and put shade smooth. Yeah, this area now looks relatively okay, but there is I can see on the reference this inner part doesn't have a hard edge. It is smooth here on the reference, so it's not supposed to have edges at all. So let's try to fix it. On the references look like this. Okay, let's temporarily turn it off, put shade smooth, and we have to get rid of these edges. Maybe this one too. Now if we put shade smooth and turn on subdivision surface, it's closer to original, and there is some issue right here which I cannot really detect. Okay, I see it. It has double vertices. Yeah. To fix it, move it slightly away, select with a shift pressed on, select other one, press Alt M, and select to the last. It means merge to the last vertex. Yeah, that issue was fixed. And there is another one right here. So we have to find what gives that. Oh, here is a different thing. Here it's way too small to explain it. You see, this face is like this. it didn't get to the this edge. It has to look like this. It has to look like this. Select vertices, vertex. Select by with pressed shift. Select the second. Press Alt M and merge to the last vertex. Now if we turn on subdivision surface, yeah, the issue was fixed. Okay, well, it's getting close to 1 hour again. To me it's not easy to upload 1 hour material. I don't have a good internet connection where I am, so probably I'm gonna have to make part 2 of this subscriber request. So okay, well, from far away it's looked good enough, but still, yeah, probably I'm going to do, when I have time, I'm gonna make part 2 of this wheel fixing. Okay, till next time, bye bye. If you like it, like it. If you don't like it, you can always leave a mean comment in a comment section below. Bye bye.